Mausi was born into wealth, wrapped in the finest clothes, cradled in the arms of loving parents. Her father, a successful businessman, and her mother, a woman of grace and wisdom, provided her with all the riches of life. Their home was grand with luxurious furniture and expensive fittings. Servants catered to her every need, and her laughter echoed through the halls like music. But riches, they say, cannot hold back the hands of destiny. One stormy night, when Mausi was only 7 years old, tragedy struck. Her parents were returning from a business trip when their vehicle overturned on a muddy road. News of their death came with the morning sun, delivered by a trembling messenger. Mausi, once the cherished daughter of a wealthy household, was now an orphan, and in an instant, everything changed. The house, the gold, the silk dresses vanished. Distant relatives descended like vultures, taking what they could before leaving Mausi with an aunt who never wanted her. She was a burden, an inconvenience. If she so much as spilled water, she felt the sting of a king. By the time she was 10, she had been passed from one home to another, like a parcel no one wished to keep. Some treated her with cold indifference, others with outright cruelty. The worst was Uncle Kweku, a man whose house smelled of palm wine and sweat. His wife made her scrub floors and fetch heavy pots of water. She was given the leftovers of meals, sometimes just the bones with no meat, sometimes nothing at all. When she turned 14, she was finally abandoned, left to her fate. She wandered the streets until she found a small abandoned wooden structure at the edge of the bustling market. It became her home. The roof leaked when it rained, and the nights were cold, but at least it was hers. To survive, she washed clothes for busy market women, scrubbing until her fingers bled. Some paid her with coins, others with scraps of food. She learned not to complain, not to expect kindness. But Mausi was not one to break. She was strong, she was determined, and when an opportunity came, she seized it. One day, she overheard two wealthy women at the market complaining about the stress of grocery shopping. Their hands were too delicate to carry heavy loads, their time too precious to spend haggling. That was when an idea struck Mausi. She approached them, her voice steady but respectful. "Let me shop for you," she offered. "I know the market well. I will get you the best goods at the best prices." The women exchanged doubtful glances, but curiosity won. They handed her a small list and a few coins. When she returned, not only had she gotten everything on the list, but she had bargained for better prices and saved them money. Word spread quickly. Soon, wealthy families sought her out, hiring her to do their shopping. Her business grew, and with it, her confidence. Then came Kwame. He had seen her at the market many times, but had never spoken to her. He was different from the men who sneered at her, different from the traders who assumed she was beneath them. One day, as she was negotiating a price for yams, he stepped in. "You drive a hard bargain," he said, smiling. Mausi turned, startled. His voice was deep, warm like the sun after the rain. She eyed him cautiously. "A fair bargain," she corrected. He laughed. "Then teach me, I want to learn." It started with small conversations at the market, then long walks home. Kwame was kind and thoughtful. He listened to her stories without judgment. He never pitied her, he admired her. And then one evening, he brought her home. His mother, a regal woman with sharp eyes, welcomed Mausi with open arms. His younger sister, Essie, became her closest friend. Even his father, a quiet man of few words, nodded in approval. It felt too good to be true, and perhaps it was. The shift began when Kwame's elder sister, Abuna, returned from the city. Abuna was a woman who had seen wealth and had tasted luxury. She arrived with expensive perfumes and silk dresses, but the moment her eyes landed on Mausi, something changed. At first, it was subtle, sharp glances, a forced smile, then whispers began. "She has bewitched Kwame," she told their mother. "Can't you see? A girl with no name, no family, suddenly living in our house?" Their mother hesitated at first. She had loved Mausi and welcomed her. But doubt is like a seed. It only takes one to grow a forest. One day, as Mausi prepared food in the kitchen, Abuna entered. Watching her with her arms crossed, "You must be very lucky," she said coldly, "to go from washing clothes in the market to living in my brother's house." Mausi's hands trembled, but she kept her voice steady. "It's not luck. Kwame and I love each other." Abna scoffed. "Love?" She took a step closer. "Or do you love his wealth, his comfort?" Mausi turned to face her fully. "I work for my own money. I don't need Kwame's wealth." Abuna laughed, but there was no humor in it. "We shall see." And indeed, they would. Slowly, Abuna poisoned their mother's mind. Then it ceased. The warmth turned cold. The home that had once welcomed her now watched her with suspicion. Kwame, caught between his love and his family, began to waver. Only his father remained on Mausi's side. "Do not let their works break you," he told her one evening. "The wind will always try to put out the fire, but the strongest flames endure." But was Mausi's fire strong enough? The battle had just begun. Mausi's world was unraveling before her eyes. The one that once embraced her in Kwame's home had turned into a chilling silence. She could feel the shift in the air. How Essie no longer sought her company. How their mother's smile had become polite but distant. The only person who still stood by her side was Kwame's father, and even his reassurances could not stop the storm that was brewing. Abuna was relentless. She did not simply whisper her doubts. She planted them like seeds, watering them with subtle manipulations and half-truths. Each day, she chipped away at the foundation of Mausi's place in the family, weaving a narrative that made Mausi seem like an outsider, an opportunist. Then came the first open confrontation. One evening, as the family sat for dinner, Abuna casually remarked, "It must be nice, Mausi, to not have to worry about anything anymore. No more scrubbing clothes, no more sleeping in that tiny wooden shack by the market." Mausi paused, her spoon hovering over her plate. She met Abuna's gaze, calm but unwavering. "I still work," she said. "I still provide for myself." Abuna chuckled, shaking her head. Of course, but let's be honest, isn't it easier now that you have Kwame to take care of you?" Kwame, who had been silent throughout the exchange, finally spoke. "Abuna, enough." Abuna feigned innocence, tilting her head. "I'm just saying what everyone is thinking." Their mother, who had remained quiet, sighed. "It's not wrong to ask questions, Kwame. After all, we barely know Mausi's past." The words stung, but Mausi masked her pain. She had been here before, had felt this rejection before, but not from them, not from a family she had grown to love. That night, as she lay beside Kwame, she whispered, "Do you believe them?" Kwame turned to her, his face shrouded in shadows. "I love you, Mausi, but they are my family. I can't ignore their concerns." The crack in her heart widened. He was torn between two worlds, and she was beginning to fear which side he would choose. Then the final blow came. One evening, as Mausi returned from the market, she found her belongings outside the house. The neatly folded clothes, the small wooden box that held the few treasures she owned, all stacked as if she were nothing more than a guest who had overstayed her welcome. She felt the weight of their steps before she even turned around. Abner stood on the steps, arms crossed, a victorious smile on her lips. Their mother was beside her, expression unreadable. Essie lingered in the doorway, shifting uncomfortably. What had gone so wrong? The answer lay in Abner's final, most ruthless act. A week before Mousie was cast out, Abner had been planning her last move. She knew that simply sowing seeds of doubt wasn't enough. She needed proof, evidence that would shatter Kwame's trust in Mousie. And so, she carefully crafted a love letter, one that dripped with false passion and longing, supposedly written by Mousie to another man. One afternoon, Abner waited until Mousie had gone to the market before sneaking into the bedroom she shared with Kwame. With careful hands, she slipped the letter between the pages of one of Mousie's books and then sat back to wait. It didn't take long. Kwame found the letter 2 days later. The moment he unfolded it and read the words aloud, his heart clenched. "My dearest Kofi, every night I think of you. Though I lie beside Kwame, it is you I dream of. Soon I will find a way to be with you, and no one, not even Kwame, will stop me." His hands shook. His mother and sister sat in the room, exchanging knowing glances. Abner leaned forward, her voice soft and dangerous. "I didn't want to believe it, Kwame, but it's all here. She was never truly yours." His mother sighed, feigning sadness. "We welcomed her into our home, and this is how she repays us?" Kwame clenched his jaw. He wanted to deny it, to say it wasn't the Mousie he knew, but the seed of doubt Abner had planted weeks ago had already taken roots, and now, with this evidence, it had fully bloomed. When Mousie returned that evening, she found Kwame standing by the doorway, the letter in his hand. "What is this?" His voice was cold, distant. Mousie frowned, reaching for the letter. As she read the words, her eyes widened in shock. "Kwame, this isn't mine. I never wrote this." Abner scoffed. "Oh, so now you are saying someone else did?" Mousie turned to Kwame, desperation creeping into her voice. "You know me, Kwame. Kwame, you know I will never betray you." Kwame hesitated, but before he could speak, his mother interjected. "Enough, Mousie. We gave you a home. We gave you everything, and you have made a fool of my son. Take your things and leave." Mousie looked at Kwame, pleading silently, but he only looked away, and so she left. She turned to Kwame's father, the only one who had never doubted her. "Thank you for everything," she said simply. The old man's eyes were filled with sorrow. "Mousie," but she was already walking away. As she carried her belongings through the streets, memories flooded her. Her parents' laughter, the cold nights and the wooden shack, the battle she had fought just to survive, and now this. She had lost everything before, and yet she had risen. This would be no different. Mousie walked away from Kwame's home with her belongings in her arms and her dignity intact. The whispers of the neighbors followed her, the sting of betrayal still fresh in her heart. But Mousie had been broken before. She had known hunger, loneliness, and loss. She had survived it all, and now she would rise again. With nowhere to go, she returned to the only place that had ever truly been hers, the small wooden structure near the market. It was just as she had left it, a little worn, a little fragile, but standing just like her. That night, she sat in the darkness, staring at the ceiling, the echoes of Abner's cruel words replaying in her mind. She has bewitched Kwame, a girl with no family, no name. She is here for his wealth. Mousie clenched her fist. They thought they had broken her, but they had only set her free. She would prove to them all that she was more than their judgment, more than Kwame's love, more than their pity. At sunrise, she dusted off her sorrow and got to work. She expanded her grocery shopping business, no longer just buying goods but managing household supplies for wealthy clients. With her sharp mind and keen negotiation skills, she became known as the woman who could find the best prices for the best quality. Soon, her name was spoken with admiration in the market. She saved diligently, invested wisely, and within 2 years, she rented a proper shop. It started with small sales, spices, grains, fresh produce, but it grew rapidly. Soon she was hiring young girls who, like her, had once been abandoned, giving them jobs and a future. Her success caught the attention of traders and wealthy businessmen, and eventually, whispers of her triumph reached the very house that had cast her out. Kwame had not been the same since Mausi left. At first, he convinced himself it was for the best, that his family was right, that Mausi would have dragged him into scandal, that she was never meant to belong. But as the months passed, the house grew colder. The warmth he had once known, the laughter, the love had disappeared with her. His mother and sisters had won, but their victory was hollow. His father barely spoke at meals. Essie, once his playful sister, now carried a sadness in her eyes, and Abna, who had led the charge against Mausi, had moved on, unaffected. Kwame sat outside, staring into the darkness, guilt gnawing at his heart. He had let Mausi walk away. He had not fought for her. His father, the only one who had stood by Mausi, watched him for a long time before speaking. His voice was steady, but filled with disappointment. A man who cannot stand for what he loves will one day watch it slip through his fingers, he said. Kwame didn't respond. His father sighed. You had a rare gem, my son, but you let the whispers of others cloud your sight. He leaned forward, his gaze sharp. A tree that sways too easily to the wind will never grow strong. When did you become a man who sways? Kwame swallowed hard. I thought I was protecting my family. His father shook his head. No, you were protecting their pride. There is a difference. The words hit Kwame like a hammer. His father stood, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. A good man does not let others decide the worth of the woman he loves. A fool does. Kwame knew then he had been a fool. One evening, as Kwame walked through the market, he heard her name, Mausi, the woman who runs the new supply store. She's brilliant. If you need anything, she's the one to see. Kwame froze. Could it be the same Mausi? Curiosity led him down the familiar path to the marketplace, and there she was, confident, radiant, thriving. She was dressed in fine but modest attire, her hair neatly wrapped, her movements purposeful. He watched as she negotiated with a trader, her voice steady, her presence commanding respect. She did not need him. She never had. His heart clenched with regret. That evening, he knocked on the door of her shop. When she opened it and saw him, her expression remained unreadable. Mausi, he started, his voice softer than he intended. She raised a hand. Don't. Kwame swallowed hard. I was wrong about everything. Mausi tilted her head. And I miss you, he admitted. I made a mistake. Mausi sighed, looking at him for a long moment before speaking. A mistake? She echoed. No, Kwame, you made a choice. His face fell. Is there no way to fix this? She smiled, but it was not the smile of a woman still waiting for love. It was the smile of a woman who had outgrown what had once held her back. I have forgiven you, she said, but I have also moved on. Kwame lowered his gaze. understanding dawning in his eyes. He had lost her, not because she was taken from him, but because he had let her go. Mousy's business continued to flourish, and her story became an inspiration to many. She built a home for herself, not just one of bricks and mortar, but one filled with love, respect, and dignity. She hired more girls, taught them how to be independent, how to stand tall even when the world tried to break them. One day, Kwame's father visited her shop. He looked around, nodding in approval before meeting her gaze. "You were always meant for greatness, Mousy," he said. "I am proud of you." Tears welled in her eyes, but she held them back. She had come too far to break now. "Thank you," she said, bowing her head slightly, "for always believing in me." As he left, Mousy stood at the entrance of her shop, watching the market buzz with life. She had walked through fire, but she had emerged stronger, wiser. Mousy's story is a testament to resilience, self-worth, and divine purpose. Mousy faced betrayal and rejection, but found strength in knowing her true value. Every challenge refined Mousy, making her stronger. Struggles aren't setbacks, they are stepping stones to greatness. What seemed like a loss was a setup for something greater. As Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." What about you? Have you ever faced rejection that led to something better? Share your story in the comments. Let's uplift each other. If Mousy's journey inspired you, like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a powerful African story. Until the next time, bye-bye.